Good afternoon. My name is Diana Burnwood, and you are watching Inside the Game.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Game, your only source for everything cool in video games. Now, what's coming up on this jam-packed episode? Well, here it is. It's the rundown.
By far, my favorite part of this game is the boss battles.
Well, guys, PlayStation just announced that they're working on PSVR2.
With these games, there is a lot of depth.
Especially you, David, you've given 21 years of your life, and you're like, see you later.
It's a shame, man. I gotta ask, bro. Super Bowl champ, man. How did that feel?
Looks like another episode, so stick around. And let's get started with Corey talking about Bravely Default 2.
This week, I get to take a look at Square Enix's latest JRPG offering, Bravely Default 2.
I know full well the duty that awaits me. The time has come for me to recover my kingdom's greatest treasures. Fire, water, wind, and earth. They are the keys that keep a great evil locked away.
This week I got a pretty cool game to check out, Bravely Default 2 on the Nintendo Switch. Now this is a JRPG. This is a style of game I normally don't play. I don't get into this. This is that Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy V. If you played the other Bravely games, there's 2 in the series. This is definitely a grinded out, turn-based battle game. And let me tell you, this game right off the hop, it just really got me with the way the environments look. You have these hand-painted backgrounds. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The characters, on the other hand, didn't necessarily, the character models didn't look as good as you necessarily hope. I know the previous Bravely games in this series were kind of a step ahead in their generation for as far as how the game looked. Here, the port, to the Nintendo Switch now, it doesn't necessarily look as nice. The character models look good, but I feel like compared to the background, they do kind of just stick out a little bit. But I mean, all that aside, there is a lot of game here, and it kind of carries you through a bit of a story at the beginning. You're Seth, a sailor that's washed up on shore, and you've been found by a couple of people, and now you found out that you are a hero of light. There's 3 more of you, and you're banded together to collect these elemental crystals to save the world from, well, let's just say all the baddies that you run across in this world, because there's a ton of them. This game's campaign will run you roughly 60 hours, and there's a ton of leveling up to do here. Just like any other JRPG, there's a huge job system, whether it comes with the abilities, the way you kind of spec out your party as you go through. There's just so many different ways to kind of set up how you play this game out. But let me tell you, to get into this one, it was difficult. I found the first hour or so, maybe 2 to 3 hours actually, to be a ton of cutscenes. There's a lot of lore here. There's a deep story that you kind of get taken through with all the characters. Mind you, if this is something that'll hook you, you're going to be absolutely loving this. For me particularly, I wasn't totally loving the story. The characters didn't hook me. I thought the voiceovers were good, but they weren't great.
Hey, don't mention it. You did the same for me once, remember?
Aye, and with 2 shiny new asterisks to show for our efforts.
So it was nice to be able to skip through a lot of cutscenes, or just to have the fact to let them auto run so you're not always clicking through all the dialogue. So that did make things a little more bearable as you kind of got through. But as this game goes on, you get into the deeper hours, it starts to break open, because there is so many different ways that you can customize your characters as you build your party and kind of level up through this one. There, isn't the running around random encounters anymore. You see the enemies you want to attack, they can chase after you, you can run away, or you can just jump right into battle and you kind of get onto that grind. The one thing I noticed that was a big change from the old games is the fact that the old games you actually could just auto battle. If you jumped into battle and had your party set up, you could get it into that auto battle mode and it would just fight that battle for you, go through, take the turns, and just kind of help along that grind. This one, because of the way the battle system's set up, there's kind of a bit of a disconnect. You're always having to set up every turn, because the way the mechanics work here is kind of, there's two main styles of attack here. You're either gonna brave attack or you're gonna default, which is a defensive move. Brave attack allows you to have multiple attacks on the same turn, up to 3. You can actually take brave points that you've earned, or brave points that you don't even have yet, and actually use those to bank up multiple attacks in the same turn. But this is kind of where the catch-22 is. You have to use the default maneuver every once in a while to gain brave points back. And if you start using them all up, and you're in the negatives, you're actually going to have to wait that many turns until you can actually start attacking again. So it is a double-edged sword. You have to learn to kind of, you know, when to collect it and when to let it all loose in this one. There is a bit of a learning curve here, especially if you haven't played these styles of games. Let me tell you, I kind of limped my way through the first little bit here because there's a lot here in this battle system. It is a little overwhelming, but I know fans of this genre are really going to love how this one's laid out.
You got me. Had enough yet? You really got me good. Oh yeah.
By far my favorite part of this game is the boss battles. The fact that you can just jump in and fight in these 20, 30, 45 hour-long battles. I'm not kidding. One of the early boss battles actually took me just over half an hour to beat with my party. And it felt so rewarding when I finally got there and I finally took it down, that, you know, it really lends to the fact that there is so much customization in this game. I could have approached that battle with any sort of layout for my party and any sort of kind of combination of abilities to allow me to kind of go through that battle maybe a little bit easier than my initial run through. And the fact that you can, you know, get ready for that next boss and change up your party's abilities and classes, it really allows you to tailor that particular fight to that particular party, and I really like that. That's kind of where this game got its hooks into me. The story, again, didn't really sell me. I didn't love the characters. Those, like I said, the voiceovers were okay. They weren't great. Some of the voices were just horrendous. Some of them were passable. But it's all about the battle system here. That's where this game shines, and I think if you're a JRPG fan, you're gonna love this game. And if you're looking to get into these games, this is definitely a quality game to get into. The battle system takes a little bit of getting used to, but they do a good job laying it out for you with a bit of a tutorial, and there's a lot of descriptors about, you know, how to use the moves and kind of different abilities as you go and build your characters and party. So they do help you along the way here. You just have to kind of be able to stick it out, and honestly, if you do this 60-hour campaign with all the grinding on top of that, there's a lot of game here to play. Honestly, I could go on for a little bit longer, but I think I gotta score this one. I had a blast playing it, especially for a game I don't normally play. This one definitely took me by surprise. If you've played games like Octopath Traveler, Final Fantasy V, you know, the other Bravely games, I think you're really gonna enjoy this. I gotta give this one an 8 out of 10. A deep story with lots of character building keeps true to the RPG fashion with tons of party customization here. But there's definitely lots of grinding, but overall, this one's pretty rewarding.
I am stronger.
Well guys, PlayStation just announced that they're working on PSVR2, and well, we're big fans of VR and the PlayStation VR headset itself, but it's definitely lacking when it comes to the competitive edge with Oculus and Vive. So what do we want from PlayStation VR2? How do we get things started? Nate, you went on with PlayStation VR lately. That's kind of something I've been dabbling in for a long time now. Everything from Moss to Blood and Truth and the latest Dreams of all things, believe it or not. And Corey, you've got the Vive. You're rocking the Vive headset over there, and we got a game coming up this week for the show itself. But yeah, what do we want moving forward with PlayStation VR 2? For me, two things: better graphics, better fidelity within the system, and the controllers need to be completely changed, because I've been using these Move controllers since the PS3 days. Nate, what are you looking for?
Well, my experiences with the Oculus and the PSVR, and I must say, the one thing I could not get was just full eye coverage on the PSVR. And it's not that it was uncomfortable or anything. It was close, but just, I don't know, maybe it's I have a weird shaved face, but at any rate, I just could not get underneath my eyes fully covered. Didn't matter how I adjusted it. But then the Oculus, it really does morph to your head. And granted, I haven't even, that was a Oculus from a couple generations ago, so I imagine it's even better now. But that is my main thing, because in VR you're so enclosed in the game, and it's just having that little bit of light coming from the outside world just kind of took away from it. But that being said, I mean, like you said, dude, the controllers, that's a dated thing, man. I remember playing the PS3 with my friends' Move controllers, and they were kind of lousy then, so.
Oh, that's funny, man. I'm going to keep it with controllers because I don't have a ton of PSVR experience, but I do have the Cosmos Elite, and their controllers, they're good. They're big in your hands. But what the problem is, I notice a lot of the newer generation VR stuff is it's analog joysticks. And I think, especially as VR starts to develop, moving in VR is starting to develop as well, right? Where joysticks are starting to become more of a regular occurrence, I think. Because there's some games I definitely play with these controllers, and they kind of don't really work as intuitively as I maybe would like. Sure. So, looking towards what PlayStation's going to do for their second iteration of VR, I think they definitely should look at, updating their controllers that are from PlayStation 3 era, right? Like, we need, something along, the Quest line, something like that. We just need something a little more compact, fits in your hand a little bit better, and it just kind of gives you a little more for the overall VR experience. I could definitely agree with Nate. Headset fit, I think, in any VR setup is definitely the biggest issue, because you really need it to be sitting on your face just that perfect way to get that image looking exactly how you want it to look, especially because it's right in your face, so it needs to be as clear as possible, because if it's just even a little bit blurry, it really cuts down on the amount of playtime you can really have that headset on for. So I'd really like to see PlayStation just kind of bring it up to where the current VR stuff is at, right? I mean, they need to be competitive in the market. They have a great console now that can support a better VR system, so I don't see why they can't just improve in the system just overall, right? Better controllers, better headset fit, keep doing what they're doing, but just make it a little bit better.
Oh, that's fair.
And something I kind of want to add is affordability, man. That's another one too. Is VR, it's that disconnects there, I think, for at least like 30% of gamers, because it's not that affordable to get an Oculus. You need the PC, you need this. At least with PlayStation, right? You needed to just buy the headset with your console, but still, if they could somehow knock the price just to bring more gamers in, I think that we'll get more games in general, and just I don't know, that's what I'm really hoping. I mean, who doesn't hope things are cheaper? But
a little bit cheaper. I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you.
No, for sure.
But I think that's a big one that VR in general is kind of struggling with.
Absolutely, because if you get something that what Corey has, like the Cosmos Elite, you need a PC that can power that thing, right? And that's the advantage when going to PlayStation. But PlayStation said when they first launched PSVR, they considered that to be like the PS1. And then it was a stepping stone for them to take all of the feedback from the fans, from the developers, and what can they do to move forward. And that's what Shuhei Yoshida said, is when they first launched it, this is like PS1 days for VR, for PlayStation in a sense. And now moving forward, you already hear what they're talking about when they're making it simplified. One cord. Right now, you hook up your PSVR. Oh, dude, man, there's like a dozen cords kicking around, and you gotta plug in here and there and this way and that way, and then you plug in your headset into a box. I'm like, what is going on here? I got the Oculus Quest 2. I got no wires at all happening now at this point. Right? So there's definitely some simplification going on when it comes to the next gen of PSVR, which is fantastic. They said one cord. Thank you. One HDMI, one USB. I don't know. They haven't really gone into too many details. That's the worst part about right now, is they more or less said, yeah, we're working on it. And then wait, right? So that's kind of,
that's what we were hoping for that already.
Yeah. And it's COVID, so that doesn't help anything, get rushed.
But they also just launched PlayStation 5, so they don't want to go, here's a PS5 and now buy the VR headset, because you're getting back into the world of the Cosmos where you have to have a high-end PC to go along with your PS or your VR system. So PlayStation doesn't want two of their biggest heavy hitters competing with each other. Let the one sell, and you can't even find a PlayStation 5 right now for any means anyways.
Trying still.
Right, exactly. So if they can get that out into the wild and then launch that, they just announced today 6 games coming to the old PlayStation VR headset, which look fantastic. So moving forward, we should be able to carry those games over and keep rolling, and then get even better graphic fidelity with the system, because that was when you play PlayStation VR, it feels like you're playing 720, and that's a struggle, especially now when Cosmos Elite's here, the Oculus Quest 2 is here. Everything's so fine and so crisp,
the image is
beautiful,
so sharp.
right? So when you put
that 4K PSVR, baby.
Exactly. So when you go back to the old PlayStation VR headset, it's just like, whoa. Like, man, remember the days of watching YouTube in 720? That's just not a thing anymore. So definitely some things are coming. It sounds exciting. The world of VR, if you haven't tried it, it's a definite must try. It's just a cool experience. It's a different experience than regular flat screen gaming. There's nothing like it, to be honest. There's nothing like VR. It's just so cool. Are you guys interested in VR PlayStation 2? Let us know. InsideTheGame.ca.
Call me Genghis Khan and you Thuk Fan. We're playing some Stronghold's Warlords, Drew.
Yes, we are.
I feel more comfortable on the fields and hills than out there fighting wars.
Alright, Drew, so this week we got our hands on Stronghold's Warlords, man. And this game, I had no idea it was coming out, man. And I used to play Stronghold's Crusaders, man. I think this is way back in the day. And this is kind of this random game that I just picked up randomly at Business Depot. And I just thought I'd just play this cool RTS because I was itching for one. And it really captivated me way back then.
Nice.
And as you can tell, that game was set in the Crusades. And now, moving forward in 2021, we're taking place in ancient Japan, man. And I love what they've really done with this game. What did you think hopping into this?
Hopping in, it was a trip down memory lane, to be honest, because I started really with point-and-click adventure and RTS back on PC a long time ago, Nate. We were not going to go there, but that's where I kind of grew up, right? That's my gaming heritage. And to get back into the swing of things, it's kind of been a while. Scott and I reviewed Command & Conquer not too long ago, and that was a little taste back of it at a remaster. So to come at something fresh and something new, it was nice to see, but I felt at the same time, it's missing some of that new age experience as well. In most RTSs now, and a lot of games like this, we're able to zoom right in, right down low, almost to like a third-person perspective. And I was kind of hoping for that, and it's just not here, right? It feels very familiar still with the old RTS style, and I don't feel like they changed too much on that. Sometimes it's, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what works is working, and it was great time. The characters, man, like they definitely feel a little over the top. Your leaders, as they talk to you and walk you through the campaign. When it came to multiplayer, servers were offline because we got a little bit early, so we're waiting for servers to open up. But you and I jumped in online and we were battling out some co-op, and dude, that was just a blast to have that experience. We got defeated. It was not very pretty, but it was still so much fun to do that. And then the campaign, the intro of the campaign is basically just a big tutorial. They kind of get you the fundamentals and how the game works and how everything's kind of organized and what does what and all that kind of stuff. Lay out the land for you as you progress further, because as you get further along, dude, the game gets tough. But jump in, and it was an awesome time. But how do you feel about it?
Oh man, like I said, it was a trip right down memory lane. So hopping into the tutorial, it was really nice. Or hopping into the main campaign, it was nice having that tutorial feel.
Sure.
Because man, it's been a long time, and with these games, there is a lot of depth. I mean, you can play it on easy and just be a casual RTS player, but if you put this thing on hard, you are working a mile a minute, man. Like, it's just like nonstop. You're constantly macromanaging your army and, you know, building your base all at the same time. So I loved it though. But the campaign, man, like, I appreciate that there were voiceovers. I don't really care for reading all the time. I don't mind if it's in there sometimes, but
yeah, sure.
They were there. They were their typical RTS.
Oh my goodness,
corn.
It was,
and I must say I love that in the game while you're moving your characters, they're constantly doing their voiceovers. It's just classic.
There's so many stacks of corn. It was bad.
It was great, but honestly, the graphics though, I thought it looked pretty good. I was playing on ultra settings, but I think overall the aesthetic of ancient Japan, they really did hit it home, I think. Especially while you're building your base and you're getting your rice fields and your vegetable farms and you're getting, you know, these really cool troops like ninjas and samurai. It's just, wow, man.
It's super cool.
The Song invasion is here. And they bring their own siege engine.
Alright, so with every RTS, man, controls are a big thing, and hotkeys. And one thing this game I feel like it fails to really tell you is a lot of the hotkeys. You know, even just grouping your troops together, that's a big one, man. Pressing Control 1 to 0 and having the ability to have 10, you know, troops or groups of troops at your fingertips really is key, but they never tell you this. And I get just a lot of the things in this game I found I was kind of stuck going into the help section and then reading on it, which is a little bit annoying, but at any rate, it's, you know, if you want to dive deep into these games, I do kind of understand. What makes this game though especially cool and kind of stand out-ish compared to other ones is the actual Warlords aspect of it, because in this game you're not just building an army and then attacking each other. There's Warlords in each map, and each of them are different. Some of them they'll have several Warlords or just a few that you're fighting for. And so on top of that, what's all about these Warlords? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you, there are about 9 different types, and each of them boost your army in different ways. Some of them are more resource focused, so that you can send resources back to your base or just accumulate more over time. You can also have other ones that focus more on the diplomatic side, and diplomacy in this game is basically how you upgrade your Warlords and, you know, do that whole thing. So then finally the last one is the military side of things, so you can, you know, get troops sent to your base. And I loved this aspect of it, because you can't really build your own base there, but some of these Warlords have the options to add defenses, or, you know, some of them just have troop generation. So it's just, there's so much to really, you know, every map, every situation you get into, you've really got to know what is happening.
There's definitely a lot going on within the game. I do like the Warlords aspect, but I wanted to kind of take over their area and then expand upon that area. You can't. They're there more for like a resource management aspect to the game. But I wanted to be able to expand my city more or less, right? I want to bring in rice fields or vegetable fields. I want to go over and mine more resources. I want to be able to expand. And it kind of held me back, because when you start, you are restricted to a pretty small space in order to build up your army. And you can build it a little bit, but then as you grow and kind of get ready for a bigger battle, you're still kind of confined to your own little section of the map. And I wanted to kind of see that expand a lot more than what we did here.
Yeah, that's kind of a direction I guess they took, because I mean, I love building, you know, across the entire map and just forming a massive fortress. But on the other hand, that's kind of where the Warlords come in. So, you know, you have to either pick and choose 2 of the 5 on the battlefield or that are on the map, because they boost, you know, resources and military, or you want to take over most of them just to help boost your army in all aspects. But anyways, I know what you mean, man. I did feel like some of the areas that you play in were just really just too small. I'm like, I can't make this look nice. There's just buildings beside buildings on top of everything. It just looked chaotic.
Yep.
But again, those are in the beginning stages. As you get further along, the maps do get bigger, and you can actually build roads that connect building to make, you know, your resource management quicker. So, you know, there is, like I said a million times, man, there is a lot to this game.
Absolutely.
I am yours to command.
A message from Thuk Fan.
The Warlord is ours, and the way is clear. Onwards!
Okay, Nate, I think we both enjoyed our time becoming Warlords. What do you score in Stronghold Warlords?
Well, man, I mean, if you couldn't tell by my excitement through most of this review, I actually loved this game, man. I didn't really find too many faults with it. It didn't crash once on my PC in my entire playthrough. We did have a little bit of connection issues, but after just about 10 minutes, we connected and had a solid playthrough our entire match in skirmish mode. So, that all to say, man, I'm going to have to give this one a 9.5, man. It is almost perfect. I love this game, man. I'm going to recommend this to everybody who wants to play an RTS.
That's awesome. You know, as a returning player to RTS, it was definitely a bit of a struggle for me to get started. And they have a small introduction and the campaign, but when you want to really kind of dig deep, they didn't really explain a lot of that content to you. So it kind of left me a little straggling for some of this resource management and ideas on how to defeat some of these warlords that we're going up against. So it was a bit of a struggle for me kind of getting into the end game content sort of thing. But overall, I thought it was a great time. Definitely a nice return to RTS, and the setting is just phenomenal. This is definitely a great time. I'm there with an 8.5.
Stronghold Warlords brings strategy to the next level while staying true to its identity. Resource management is both fun and punishing if you don't take care of your people. The addition of Warlord management introduces a new mechanic that is a bit of a double-edged sword. You can expand your base beyond your initial build area, but you can take over Warlords to expand your army and sway the battle in your favor.
校尉，有。我们要回家了吗？我们会干掉他们。我们陷入麻烦了。Fire idle cut at the legend. 现在怎么办？他们真可怜。 我累了，加入战斗，弓箭手就绪，严待军令。又要打仗吗？这场战争永无止境。
Good afternoon. My name is Diana Burnwood, and you are watching Inside the Game.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have two very special guests with me today. I have the legendary Jane Perry and David Bateson joining me. You know them as Agent 47 and Diana Burnwood.
You got my message.
You'd never get caught on camera. Not unless you wanted to be seen. So what's the play?
You're not the only one who's been busy, 47.
Games are difficult. Games are... They can become legendary as well. And we've seen the rise of Agent 47 and Diana Burnwood with the fact they even get in their own level this time around with Hitman 3. Which I found was very fascinating. I thought, wow. There's a lot of twists and turns this time around. What was the hardest part about working on Hitman 3 versus past projects?
Well, yeah. Let's put it this way. When I said my last words,
which I record over about a 6-month period, somewhere between 4 and 6. It was closer to 6 months with the callbacks, where I do it like a 4-hour sitting, and then I'll see you in 6 to 8 weeks, and then back again, and so on. I took a selfie. I'm such a teenager. No, I took a selfie in the sound box. I'm just alone, just trying to capture what I was feeling, and I can't show that photograph basically to anyone because you can too clearly see what I was feeling, and that was for me was in the back of my mind through the whole thing was that, oh, where do we go from here? And how long are we going to have to wait before we get to play with Agent 47 again? So I had it's not difficult. I don't know how you find it, Jane, but I just love doing it. Saying the lines, turning up and going, hey.
Yeah, I love it too. And I felt that was the hardest thing about Hitman 3 was knowing that it was over, and just the sadness that brought about, because and it's so funny working on computer games, because you're in a session, they'll say, okay, this is your last session, you're like, oh, okay,
it is.
And they just kind of let you know without appreciating the fact that actually that might be really hard to hear. And then of course it never is your last session, because at the last minute you have to go in and do a few pickups. So you show up again, you're like, hi everybody, and then at some point it is your last session, and you sort of walk away feeling like, when you finish a play or a film or TV series, there's always a wrap party, there's some ritual, there's a celebration, right, that allows you to let go of it. And in computer games, that doesn't seem to exist somehow. And David, I was telling Drew before we got started here that I was really looking forward to coming to Copenhagen for the release party for Hitman 3.
Yeah.
Just to turn it into that for myself, and also to meet you in person, David, and everybody else who's worked, behind the scenes on Hitman. So I think, Drew, that was the hardest thing about Hitman 3 is just the fact that was it.
Yeah, it's kind of a stamped squid, wasn't it?
That's it, exactly.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I'll see you around. Oh no,
we're both wounded. We're like, especially you, David. You've given 21 years of your life, and you're like, see you later.
Yeah, I'll see you in the next life. Strength and honor. No, I mean, the game ends on a positive note. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
So let's see how long it's good to be back is. And of course, if they reboot it with a couple of teenagers, we're screwed.
Damn those teenagers! Damn the teenagers! No.
I got them all over this house. Damn it!
I love teenagers.
Jane and I were talking off camera, and she mentioned the fact that you two have actually never met. How? Which to me seems odd, because it's you two in most of the games. Like, a lot of the games are you two going back and forth and having that conversation. It feels like you are just on a phone call or in the next room together, or you know what I mean? You have such a connection. How do you guys get that connection and yet have still never met?
Well, I think I have a slight advantage. I don't know how you feel, Jane, but I mean, I'm doing my lines still mainly in isolation, but at least with the cinematics, which are really kind of, I'm looking at them pretty close to being finished, or I get to hear your dulcet tones in my earphones. So, so that is so cool. Not every time, but sometimes, and also other times, I get to say, "Hey, listen, where are we now? We're on the beach. Okay, so there's crashing waves, and Diana's on my headset, but I probably have to talk a little louder over there because I'm right down by the shoreline. Or, can I hear her? And then I hear you going, don't do that. I wouldn't do that if I was you. Whatever. And sorry, you don't sound like that at all. But the point being, otherwise it is. Hey, when we did that that interview earlier this year,
Mm-hmm.
and we got together, and I could see, hey, there's John, and there's Phil, and there's hi, and we were almost hysterical because it's such a lonely experience.
It's through the way it works usually is, and I think David, because you're the star of the show, you probably get to hear more of the actors than maybe the rest of us do. But the way it works through is they give you a spreadsheet, which is just your lines. And so you go into the studio, and we have amazing directors working on Hitman who will give us the context. And usually the writer is on the line as well, patched in from Copenhagen. So we'll get amazing context for what's happening in the scene. But what we don't have necessarily are our fellow performers. So it requires a kind of filling in of the blanks, as it were. And I think really what helps this connection that we have is probably the experience that we've had working on the game for all these years, understanding our characters so well, understanding really what this relationship is about. So, in acting, you're not really meant to anticipate what's coming your way, but I think in computer games, sometimes you don't have a chance because you don't have your fellow performer there with you. So we use that familiarity that we have with the game to breathe life into the conversations. And occasionally I do get to hear you, David, and that is such a treat because then we get to work off each other. It's great.
I had no idea, because I'm assuming that I'm recording towards the end of the process.
Yeah.
Where there's been most of the recordings happened at the side studio in London or sometimes in LA.
With you guys working from home right now with the pandemic going on, did you see a change at all with what you normally would do for voice acting in the industry at all?
You go first, Jane.
I think it's going to change things. I mean, I've been quite busy working from home. And as I was saying to you, Drew, before, I feel incredibly grateful for that. I had a studio sort of set up and ready to go. So I was able to just maintain my momentum in my voiceover career, which was a great gift. And I think that COVID is probably going to change things in the voice industry because so many voice actors are now working out of their homes. And I think we've realized that, actually that works okay. There's, actors have pretty good studio setups, and it's just opened things up a little bit. So it'll be really interesting to see what it's going to all look like in 2 years. I think it's also lovely to go into a studio and to see, the sound engineers and the producers and everybody who's there. It's community, right? And we all need that and love that in our lives. But there is something to be said for trundling downstairs in your pajamas and putting your headphones on and little vocal warm up, of course, and then do your thing
without video. You're right. I went into town to do a voiceover yesterday, and it was just such a weird. Well, it was nearly a weird experience because I hadn't done that for. I can't really remember.
Yeah.
Only death awaits.
Make sure to come back next week as we finish our interview with Jane and David talking about Hitman 3, and we also hit them up with some fan questions. We hung out with Super Bowl champ Shane Vereen over on twitch.tv/theofficial ITG in this week's Let's Play. How we fare in Warzone? Well, check it out.
So Shane, man, I gotta ask, bro. Super Bowl champ, man. How did that feel?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
It's like the high of all highs, like the greatest feeling in the world, to be honest with you.
That's awesome, man. What a game that was, too, man.
I mean,
I'm getting around the hill here. Maybe we can peek on him.
Wow, that was close.
Company.
teammates right there. Stay down on behind the berm here,
yeah,
if you can. Oh, this storm is gonna save those guys' lives. White line it, Drew.
Oh, I'm getting shot.
Guys on the right. Guys on the right. Oh no!
Dip down in here if you can, Nate.
You got guys on your left, Nate.
Yeah.
You got guys on my right.
Guys on the left.
This is an awful spot.
we are in the middle.
Yep.
Just get it. Just get it. We get the storm. Oh, I got an elim. He just left his guy. I see the guys up on the hill. Come on. Come on. I'm holding them off at least. Where's that other guy?
I don't know where anybody is right now. I just hear you guys shooting.
There's a guy south up on the hill by the mark. Probably went left of it because the storm pushed him. But he was up there. Yeah, we're in orange, so there's someone's close at least. Sandbags we can hide behind. We're in trouble again though.
Took one of their armor. Yeah.
Downed one.
Nice.
Lit him up. All right, this is our chance. Move down to the left if you can, boys. Just try to get in close to these buildings.
All right.
Oh, I got no AR ammo.
Oh, there's another one on the roof.
Got him.
Thank you.
There's a guy shooting from over here. Oh, over there. Oops, why won't you ping?
Down the guy.
Alright, good. Right there.
Right here. Oh, I lit him up, but I'm self-reviving. He's behind the fence.
Oh,
nice.
Got him.
Thought I had a grenade. And that was a C4. Sorry, team.
He's got all kinds of plates there and stuff.
All right.
Double kill.
Oh, the storm. Oh, I picked up his shield. It was dumb. What are these guys got for?
I'm running. I'm running.
All right, I got 3 plates. Drew, if you can, armor up.
Yeah.
You two,
Drew Adams says you need a helmet.
Dude, I need more than that.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
Well, this is like me playing PUBG. Like, I can't see anything when I play PUBG. That's probably my problem.
Fair.
I don't know where anybody is.
Me neither.
It's wide open here, too.
I'm extremely nervous.
We can get down towards that bomb. Andrew's on it. I'm just hoping. Here's hoping the circle plays in our favor, but the way it's going this round, I'm across there.
All right.
Man.
Oh god.
Adam says he takes back the helmet comment with that big double kill team wipe.
Every now and then I do something alright.
Hey,
There's somebody right in the air. 105.
All right.
Oh,
up.
You actually tagged him a couple of times too. I saw the last couple there.
That guy too.
Yeah, they're.
Man.
Yeah, they got it from out there, man.
Wow.
Oh no. Oh no. Come on, run.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
Just see you guys hoofing it.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh,
Fourth.
oh man!
He's on the roof.
Wow.
Yeah, that was close, guys.
Well, if your PlayStation VR is just collecting dust, might be time to brush it off. PlayStation announced the PSVR Spotlight, bringing 6 new games coming this year. From the creators of Arizona Sunshine, After the Fall brings fast-paced co-op action for first-person shooters to PlayStation VR. We'll also be getting the world of Zenith, a VR MMO that marries colorful open world with adrenaline-pumping action adventure gameplay. If you played the hilarious espionage I Expect You to Die, well, Shell Games is back with I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy and the Liar. That game was awesome on the first time, and I can't wait to see what hilarious shenanigans we get up to with more espionage gameplay. They also announced Fracked coming later this summer, which seamlessly combines fast-paced one-to-one run and cover gunplay with exhilarating free running, skiing, and climbing that, yes, has never been seen before. Also later this year, we'll be getting Song in the Smoke, a survival game. Crafting, all that good stuff is involved, something that I've been kind of looking forward to in VR and have yet to actually seen anything come. So we'll check out Song in the Smoke when it comes later, hopefully sooner than later this year. And lastly, coming on March 29th, Doom 3, the VR edition. That's right, Nate will be all over this one. What are you going to be playing for VR? Are you checking this out? More VR is finally coming. It's been a long time since we've seen anything really hit the PlayStation VR, and I'm pretty excited. Song in the Smoke looks flippin' awesome. So let's check it out and see what happens. Let us know at InsideTheGame.ca if you're getting any of these titles.
There's no denying it. Toronto is a sports city, whether it be the Maple Leafs, the Blue Jays, you got the Raptors, the Argos, the Toronto FC, and even the Toronto Rock lacrosse team. Toronto has got it all. They've got every sports team you can think of. They even have esports teams, the Toronto Defiant of the Overwatch League and the Toronto Ultra of the Call of Duty League. But they don't have a home base. They don't have a home arena. Well, Overactive Media, the group that owns both those teams, has come out with an announcement of a 7,000 seat performance arena, whether it be for esports events, concerts, award shows, different kinds of business ventures. There's lots of different things that are going to be happening at this performance facility. They've popped a couple pictures of the render. This building looks absolutely amazing. It appears to have some sort of crazy like screen built into the rim of it somehow. It's tough to say just from the photos, but there's some really interesting stuff going on here. And the fact that it's going to cost $500 million lets you know that this one's going to be pretty serious. And the fact that they're investing that much money into an esports arena in the Toronto area is huge. It just goes to show how much esports has developed even over the last 3 to 5 to 10 years. So the fact that we're seeing this, and it's going to be plopped right down there at Exhibition Place next to BMO Field, and it's going to be right near the water. This thing is going to look amazing down there. And the fact that they plan on having over 200 events a year at this facility, and I don't mean like just esports events. Obviously, there's going to be all different kinds of things here. This place is planned to be packed every night. That's their plan. So it's really nice to see that they're going to try to pull different esports events to come and be hosted here at this building. So it's cool to see them kind of advance this far. It's a ton of money. The building's not expected to be done until 2025, but it's a really awesome thing to see that we're coming this far with esports. We're moving into the fact that they're going to have their own facility, and the pictures inside look amazing. It's this beautiful theater. You got balcony seating. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to here, and I'm telling you, 2025 can't come soon enough.
So on top of Bethesda's awesome news about Doom, we got a wicked game announcement, Aliens Fireteam, a new 3-player co-op game set in Ridley Scott's Alien universe. Now, I absolutely adore this franchise. I love all the games, all the movies. I've played and watched all of it. So to see a new game coming out summer 2021, that's just around the corner. Wow, this is absolutely awesome. I couldn't help but share this with you. Also, with this trailer, it seems that they're really kind of staying true to the universe, not going too crazy with some wacky aliens, but really, like I said, just staying true to its form. And on top of that, it looks like a third-person shooter, and the graphics look really good, the setting looks awesome. I am absolutely hyped. Let me know if you're going to be playing this game come summertime.
We've seen Crash Bandicoot get revitalized over on consoles, while he's also making his way to mobile. Crash Bandicoot On the Run is a brand new mobile adventure, draws on the inspiration from the best of Crash Bandicoot franchises, which is celebrating its 25th year anniversary. Gamers will experience classic characters, bosses, enemies, and lands, all unleashed in a new mobile game that will be played on the go. Players can sign up early for Crash Bandicoot On the Run on Android and iOS to receive an exclusive mobile Blue Hyena skin on launch day. Crash Bandicoot On the Run launches on March 25th. Let us know if you're going to check it out.
If you have an Xbox, you'd be crazy not to have the Game Pass Ultimate. But what's that entail? Well, on Game Pass you have over 300 plus games you can download and play at any time. Also, if you're into your sports and your Need for Speed games, there's EA Play. They also throw in a minimum of 2 games per month you can keep and download at any time. Well, recently they added the xCloud, a streaming service that you can play from your console or from the Game Pass to your Android device. But at the moment that's only at 720p. Well, there's big things happening in 2021 in Microsoft, as they've been testing the 1080 with great success, so I don't think it'll be too long before we see this. But what they're doing is they're actually updating the servers from the Xbox One infrastructure to the Xbox Series infrastructure. They're also bringing this new technology, the 1080, to the PC as well, so you can stream your games to your PC. Well, at 1080, this means that it'll be at the same par as Google Stadia's on the baseline free tier, and also the other gaming streaming services. So I don't think it'll be too long before the xCloud will be way in front of all the other streaming services.
We've got a preview build of something that I've been looking forward to checking out because it involves gangsters. And who doesn't like gangsters? We're checking out City of Gangsters.
Enjoy our wholesome entertainment. Tap into our city's wide variety of merchandise. Triumph in the race for wealth and prosperity.
Steve, you and I were talking a little bit off camera about this one, and we're looking at an early preview build of the game. And yeah, we can tell it's an early preview build. There was no in-game tutorial. They actually sent us a doc to help guide us through the game. And I just want to talk about the game itself, our experience, and kind of how we felt about it. And to start things off, simplistic art style. I like the art style itself. I felt very almost Sims and like Sim City-esque kind of feel to it. But it was, dude, I had a hard time really getting into it, which is too bad because I wanted to build my mafia up, my franchise, build my empire, and really kind of take it out there. But dude, I just kind of ran into one brick wall after another and just kind of kept getting hit, knocked down, and I wasn't able to understand really how the game worked. Even following the tutorial that they sent, I still couldn't get things to go. It wasn't clicking. And yet you were kind of experiencing some of the same issues as I was.
Well, that's right. I mean, obviously, the game is set in 1920s, prohibition of alcohol. You start off as, I think it's Henrik. It's just you in your car, a 2-seater car. You head to Chicago, and then the first thing is you have to meet up with your uncle, who has a barber shop, which will kind of be your safe house or your starting point. After an hour of reading the tutorial, 26-page docket, I found it very awkward on the controls of what to do and how to get started, even following the tutorial. Because they actually start off with saying, I think the random, it starts off the amount of money is like some silly amount, but they tell you to start off at $789 or to get you started.
Just give me $1,000 or something and let me go.
Yeah, so that was a weird number to start off with. And then it was kind of like, it's very text orientated.
Yeah, there's no voiceovers here at all, right? We're very focused on reading, and there's a lot of depth too within the game. You're able to kind of go in and take a look at the front and see who's managing it and what relations they have with you and other neighbors within the area. And you're trying to build out your city block. Steve, man, like as in-depth as it was just, I couldn't figure out how the game worked, man. That was my biggest problem with the game, is I just couldn't understand how the mechanics really help push the game forward. And I was just getting stumbled along, and it's just unfortunate because I liked how everything was kind of leading into this game, and the preparation for us to get into it was super cool. But when you do, it's a turn-based game as well. I think that's one thing we got to take note of. So we are, hitting the next day button so we can kind of cycle through and move it forward on to the next day. But even just trying to make a delivery, Steve, was just almost confusing.
Yes, I mean, it took me a lot of trial and error because obviously when you're at the barber shop, obviously there's like 4 icons. It'll say chat with the person who owns the property, or if it's a shop or whoever. Then you have a storage area. Then obviously in the barber shop, he's got like a back area that he's got some
storage
alcohol. Yeah,
some moonshine,
illegal alcohol, moonshine, and some hard cider and that.
Yeah,
and he gives you that to start off with to sell, and then you build up trust, and then he introduce you to his friends, and then you have to build up a trust level to help you out to build up a fake shop front to sell your business stuff and things like that. But to load the vehicle up, you go into that storage area, then you have to click on load the vehicle. Click on what you want to transport to your vehicle, like what you want to sell. So you have to make sure you can only carry so much in your car.
Sure.
So whoever you're going to visit, you have to find out what they want to buy off you. So then you put the cider or the moonshine in and how much quantity. And then you finish loading your car up. You got your baseball bat. It's just you. and then as soon as you go there, then you have to click the vehicle icon to move to the destination. But you can only move up to 4 spaces at a time.
Right.
Which I found a little bit frustrating because I know I'll talk about it a bit later, but there's another point now to speak to someone that was on the other side of town. And I'm just thinking, well, how many turns is that going to take for me to get there? And how many days do I have to keep clicking? So I just concentrated on the main area that you started from.
Right. And
then you go and speak to someone, and then you try and build the trust up. But the text is just, I just found it sort of clumsy, and you just... Sorry.
You're presented with like a dialogue tree, right? As you meet these people and you try to ask them either for favors or buy and sell stuff, and then you get a dialogue tree that goes at the bottom. And I found myself, like you and I were talking about off screen, that we're scrolling up and down to see what they were answering on our questions, whether or not they wanted to buy something or we were going to sell them something. And then my biggest problem too, Steve, was when I sold something, I didn't even realize that I sold it. That was like, there's no like checkbox going, okay, cool, you accomplished your task. You sold some moonshine to this person, and then now you got to go visit the lady over the coffee shop and go see what she wants, kind of thing, right? And I couldn't understand if it worked or if it didn't work, because I still had the option to kind of like bounce out of the idea of even giving them anything. So I'm like, okay, if you can smooth this out a little bit, and you know, when you go in and you're talking to people and that big window pops up, you still get all the background icons on screen as well. So I found it really distracting of where I had to focus versus where all this other text and these icons were located. And it was kind of cluttered in a sense.
I will definitely give this another try though.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'll stick with it too. I like the premise of the game. I just need things to be a little more crisp and clear when I know what my objective is and whether or not I've actually accomplished this game. But everybody keep your eye on City of Gangsters.
With the tutorial hard to understand, as with the text conversation mechanics within the game, City of Gangsters is still in alpha build, with its unique art style and a solid foundation. This is definitely one to watch.
There's another episode. Thank you for hanging out with us. And of course, you can be a part of the show. All you have to do is go to insidethegame.ca or hit us up on Discord, just like KTheLegend did. He submits his clip of some NHL action. Man, that's a late call. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week inside the game.
The game's been opened up, and that means interference just can't happen like it used to. She got burned on that one.
And a successful clearing attempt. And we got a delayed penalty coming up here. There's the whistle, preventing any sort of opportunity to set up with the extra.